As we all know, modern society has progressed immensely over the years. We have become so advanced that if you were to travel back in time and somehow visit the 19th century or even the early 20th century, you would be considered an alien. They want to stay away from the noise of the modern world and live their lives in peace. Today we will talk about a group of people who call themselves the Crystal Choir, and they are survivalists, but not in the way you might imagine. You will definitely disagree with some of their choices. But before we begin, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more interesting videos. The couple met each other at one of the many seminars about survival, but it was love at first sight. At first, they lived normal lives, just like all of us. But that doesn't mean they spend their days doing nothing. They wake up before the sun rises and start tending to their crops and livestock. They grow vegetables, fruits, nuts, and herbs. They also have goats, chickens, cows, and pigs. So they always have fresh meat and milk. They are very busy. All of the members of the Crystal Choir have a job and everyone must pull their weight. But after getting married, they decided to take things to the next level and started planning for the end of days. That's why when you see these people, you will notice that they always seem to wear handmade clothes made of natural materials. If someone is seriously injured and loses a lot of blood, they will rush them to the nearest clinic or hospital. Although they don't use modern medicine, they know when it's necessary to seek help. This takes a lot of work and dedication, especially if you have more than 100 members in your community. According to them, they will continue living on their farm and fend for themselves. What about water? After all, they live in the middle of a farm, and there is no river or lake nearby. If the end of the world comes, the internet and phones won't work anymore. It's true that the end of the world could happen tomorrow, but I don't think we should listen to this man. They support each other and are always ready to help if someone needs it. Perhaps we could learn something from them, but I don't think we should give up on modern medicine and technology. There's no point in giving up now because there's still hope for the future. Well, they don't really worry about this because they don't use modern technology much anyway. They have solar panels and batteries that store energy. This means they will still be able to charge their phones and power some devices. But most importantly, they will be able to light their homes at night. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Will they run out of water? Well, luckily, they've thought of that, too. On their property, they have dug deep wells that reach the groundwater. This way, even if there's no rain for months, they won't have to worry about drinking water. They believe that the government will collapse, and that's why they've been preparing for years. Thankfully, the Crystal Choir has everything they need to make their jobs easier. But how can a group of people who reject modern medicine go to a hospital? Their leader, John, believes the Earth is going through its final stages and that humanity has reached its peak. He also thinks that when the solar flare hits, it will cause mass extinction. But he believes his choir will survive. Their midwife knows exactly which herbs to use for certain diseases and how to use them. And when it happens, they will hide in their underground shelters. Each family has its own shelter, which they've built under the floors of their homes. If the end of the world comes suddenly, they will have time to hide. When someone falls ill, she will give them tea or other drinks made from herbs. As I said, they only use herbs and plants. No medicine or pills. Now, if these plants can't cure the illness, then they will take the person to the hospital. They have to do this because they don't want anyone to die unnecessarily. Since they believe that the end of the world is near, they don't want to waste the life of any member. Well, that's where things get interesting. The Crystal Choir doesn't use modern medicine, but that doesn't mean they reject all types of medicine. For example, they have horses that help them plow the fields. They also use tools that were left behind by the previous owner of the farm, such as tractors, harvesters, and other equipment. However, they rarely use modern tools and machines. Instead, they tend to use the ones left behind by the former owner. If they break these tools, they will try to fix them. But if that's not possible, then they will look for similar ones in nearby towns and cities. They try to use as little technology as possible and often avoid using electricity, gas, and other utilities. Every member of the choir has to undergo medical training before joining. And every year they have doctors and nurses come from neighboring areas to provide checkups. Also, they have a midwife among them who helps deliver babies. These people are called survivalists, and they often live alone, far away from any urban area. People's way of thinking, the way they live their life, and even their opinions about everything around them would be completely different. But there are some people who don't want to accept this progress. But that's not what this video is about. When you hear the word survival, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It's probably something like food, water, and shelter, right? Well, that's exactly what the Crystal Choir's main focus is. This is because they believe that the end of the world is coming soon. And when it does, they will be prepared. It looks like a barn from the outside, but inside, it's fully equipped with everything that would be needed to survive until the end of days. The couple welcomed like-minded people to their home. In no time, they had created a large community and started calling themselves the Crystal Choir. This group was formed by two people, John and Elizabeth. They bought a huge farm with a lot of space, which they used to build their dream house. So what do they do all day? The answer is simple. They wait for the end of the world. If you ask me, it sounds like a pretty boring life since they spend most of their days working. If you think this sounds too easy, then I have news for you. But what happens if someone gets sick or injured? Do they have anyone to take care of them? The good news is yes. What if someone gets seriously injured or needs surgery? In that case, they have to be taken to a hospital. You see, they have several acres of land full of medicinal herbs. And it's not just illnesses they treat with Western medicine. Now let's talk about the most important question: what happens when the end of the world comes? How will the Crystal Choir survive? They have enough food supplies to last for decades, and they also know how to grow their own food. But what about electricity? After all, their houses and all their equipment are powered by electricity. And don't forget modern technology. As for the end of the world itself, they believe it will be caused by a massive solar flare. It may sound funny to you, but the Crystal Choir is a serious group, and they really believe the world could end at any moment. The other members of the group agree with him, which is why they've been preparing for years. Although some of the ideas of the Crystal Choir may seem strange, we must admit that they have created a close-knit community full of hardworking people. What do you think about this community? Are they crazy, or is there something we can learn from them? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. That's all for today.